30 to 50% of the world's population are introverts. Who knew? I certainly didn't. I would have thought it was a lot less actually. And I wouldn't say that 30% of the people I meet in everyday life are introverts. I'm Cari. Whether you're new here or not, it's great to have you. And thank you for being here. It really does mean a lot. Have you ever heard of Myers-Briggs? Have you done that questionnaire that determines what personality type you are? They're the ones that came up with 50%. They reckon that 50% of the population, I guess it's of people who complete their questionnaire, they have a tendency towards introversion in some aspect. Of course, it's a big scale and we're all at different points on that scale. But I thought that was interesting, whereas traditional sources and surveys and research are saying more 30 to 50%, which again, I still think is a lot. It is important to note that being introverted doesn't necessarily mean being shy. Many high-profile people and business leaders are closet introverts, and that doesn't really surprise me based on my career. And well, I was an introvert but very confident at work. I've taken a fair few cruises since 2022. And I've noticed a huge increase now in the number of solo travellers, and which is lovely as a solo traveller. When I first went, my first couple of cruises, there weren't many solos on there at all, but now there are loads. I even went on one a couple of years ago actually, and there were 1,100 solos on this cruise of about 4,000 people. It was crazy. That was too many though, to be fair. But what I am noticing is, I think to begin with, most of these people cruising solo tended to be introverts, because the extroverts typically had loads of friends that they could go cruising with. But now it's grown, and in terms of noise levels, definitely there are more extroverts than introverts. So lately it's been more difficult to connect with people. Introversion is simply a preference for certain levels of stimulation. It's not that we're trying to get connection and we can't. We just prefer a different way to go about it. And it's not that we have a deficit of social skills either. It's just that we want to meet certain people, and we want to be quieter because we are naturally quieter and we enjoy our peace so much more, I think, than the majority of extroverts who like company and they like to be with people and they like lots of things going on around. It's quite the story of how I went from being socially very shy and a little bit shy at work. And I'm going back many years, but how I kind of transformed into a social butterfly. And it was a choice I made. I didn't do it by accident, and it was something I worked on because I made a decision that that's what I wanted to do. I didn't change overnight. It was almost like a cultural change within myself and observing other people. In doing that, does it mean I'm compromising myself and compromising who I am at my core? And I guess it does, because it wasn't my natural personality type. But as a lady who I used to work with always used to say, we can't change our personality, but we can choose to change our behaviours. And that's what I did. I decided that I wasn't getting as much out of life as I would if I was able to adopt some of these different practices. So I didn't want to go full on extrovert. That was never my intention. But I just wanted to be socially more comfortable and be able to connect with people better. And honestly, it has transformed my life. It's made such a difference in the way I connect with particularly strangers. I still have a challenge with people once they're not strangers. How do I connect even deeper? Going through all these and making these videos has made me realise that actually I might want to work on that now too. So watch this space. I do think though what it might be is that, so when you meet strangers for the first time, you're finding out all about them, they're finding out all about you, but it's all very surface level. And so when we go deeper, or we need to go deeper, I think that's where, as introverts, we like to then move into, we've made a connection, then we're ready to talk about meaningful things and conversations with a purpose. But I don't think the extroverts are. So I think at that point, they just want to do social chit chat. And of course, it drains us. So I think that's why I find it hard, but I'm not 100% sure yet. So I'm going to look into that because that would make a difference. But if I had to go through a period of social chit chat for several months or even weeks or probably even days to get there, then I'm afraid I'm out. That's never going to be for me. I definitely like conversations where I guess maybe they're kind of problem solving, although we can't solve the problems of the world, can we? But just talking about them and reaching a conclusion really of how we think about something is what I particularly enjoy. That's where connecting with introverts is just so much easier because that comes naturally to all of us. We haven't talked about intellect as introverts, but I do think there's something there. I think that we have a different level of intellect, and again, I'm not being derogatory to anybody, but I do think we talk about ideas, and ideas give us energy and they bring us to life because we're talking about what ifs and possibilities and opportunities, and it's all really positive. Whereas talking about events and talking about people just feels like definitely not something I would be interested in. For starters, it's just not a very nice thing to do. But secondly, how does it help? How does it help us learn and grow? You know, I always say if we're not learning, we're not growing. And if we're not growing, then are we dying? Because there is no stagnation, is there? If you look at trees and you look at plants and flowers, they're either growing or they're dying. They don't stand still. I think we're the same. Again, it's not a conscious choice, it's something inherent within us. And I'm just an avid learner, and I do think most introverts are. I would be very interested to know where you are on that. So I don't know if it's 30% or 50% of the world's population are introverts. I've no idea, but what I do know is that 50%, there is no way that 50% of the population want to have meaningful conversations with people that they meet. I would bet money on that. And again, let me know what your thoughts are on it. Because it's that floats my boat. I don't know if that's the same for you. You'll have to let me know. How about you? Are you happy to make social chit chat with people to build a deeper connection? I mean, does social chit chat even build a deeper connection? Does it ever? I'm not really sure it does, to be fair. Or being an introvert, are you more about meaningful conversation as well? Are you similar? That if it's just idle social chit chat, you're not interested. But if it's meaningful conversation, or do you just like quiet and you don't even want meaningful conversation with anybody? It's nice to have you here, and it's lovely to be connected. Thank you for subscribing if you do, and cheerio for now, and I will see you soon.